Thank you, Mom. Sorry.
Thank you, I guess, Neil. I want to congratulate Cassandra. She really is an inspiring young woman. Very special thanks. It says it reads here to our son Neil. Not sure. For inviting me to join you all today. And thanks to all of you for that very generous welcome. I really would have liked it on my own, but Pierce blew it by bringing me up early. I want to thank Malcolm also for the singing. Unbelievable. Now, I'm honored to be sharing this stage with Mayor Emanuel, Dr. Biden, obviously my kind of crowd. I wish it were. J.R. Martinez and Kevin Bacon. You have all of these young, wonderful stars, but now an 87-year-old, white-haired woman. Do you really want to know what life is like for George and me now? Gosh, I'm written right down there, too. I'm reminded of the story of an elderly gentleman who had old age figured out better than anyone else. The elderly man, along with his wife of 70 years, was hosting friends for dinner. One of the guests noticed that the man kept referring to his wife with endearing terms like sweetheart and pumpkin and dearie. And when the wife stepped in the kitchen for a few minutes, the guest mentioned to the host how touched he was and how lovingly the man talked to his wife and the sweet names he called her. And, well, my dear friend, said the host, I'm going to tell you the honest truth. I forgot her name 10 years ago. That's about the way we are these days at our house. I'm honored and flattered that you invited me. Here is the truth about our life. George and I have been very blessed in our 87 years and 88 years. He's much older than I am. We've met queens and kings and traveled almost every continent and witnessed firsthand history at every event in the last 20 or 30 years. We've survived 21 grandchildren, 1 great-grandchild, at least 27 moves from California to China, 7 wars, 3 dress sizes, 2 governors, 5 parachute jumps, and 2 presidents. Yet, after all of this, almost every single day, we're lucky to meet people like you, people who inspire us with what you do, who remind me that we truly live in the most generous, greatest country on earth, and who reassure me that the future is filled with hope and opportunity and joy. Programs where people are helping people and neighbors are helping neighbors is the essence of the American spirit. Now, you've been told that about 18 times this afternoon, so I think you're getting it, but anyway. This is what my husband would call being one of 1,000 points of light. And if George were here today, he'd tell you how proud he is of the Points of Light organization and each of you who make community problems your projects. All of you with us today are shining examples of involvement, commitment, and devotion to serving the less fortunate. You're a splendid model of how people working together really can make a huge difference. You're all heroes. And today I'd like to speak about my #1 hero. He is the brightest point of light, George Bush. When we were married in our 20s, I was 19. I think that's a mistake there, but anyway. He was old, 20. George already understood and was living what Mahatma Gandhi meant when he said, the best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. George finished school at Yale in 2.5 years. During that time, we had our first son. the 43rd president, and even then, George found ways to get involved, including raising money for the United Negro College Fund. And after Yale, we picked up and moved our family to West Texas. We moved to Odessa. My mother thought it was in Russia. With the same giving spirit, George helped open the first YMCA in Midland and coached a Little League team, and I volunteered at the hospital and was a Cub Scout den mother. Even though George went on to becoming a congressman, ambassador, director of the CIA, vice president, and president, he never thought his work was finished. In later years, George partnered with President Clinton, the odd couple, who I call my boy Bill. He's my son by another mother. You do know what Bill says, don't you? He says those Bushes would do anything to get another president in the White House. They banded together to raise funds to aid in the relief efforts following the catastrophic tsunami in Southeast Asia and the Hurricane Katrina in the Gulf Coast states. George passed along this spirit of volunteering to our children and grandchildren. They have found diverse causes all on their own, spanning from problems in Africa to problems in our own backyard. I am very thankful that our son Jeb and daughter Doro are continuing my interest in making America more literate. They are now the co-chairs of the Barbara Bush Foundation for Family Literacy. Now, like you all, we get frustrated at times. It's frustrating knowing that for every person you help, there are so many more that we never get to touch. And there are days when all of us think to ourselves, what difference can I really make? Now, a couple of years ago, when I was having one of those days, I decided to go out and work in my garden in Maine. And I'd been sent these wonderful box of peonies, and they came with instructions, and they said, dig a deep bed, mulch, fertilize, plant flowers just so, and give them plenty of water. And they went on to say that if I followed the instructions correctly, that the plants would not bloom the first year, but they would bloom the next year and the next year for every year after for the next 100 years. And I realized then that I was planting for our children, our grandchildren, and now our great-grandchild. Today, despite these unbelievably ferocious Maine storms, they continue to bloom like clockwork every year in Kennebunkport, Maine. Our house is filled with peonies today. Volunteering and community service is a lot like planting peonies. You may not see the results right away. Indeed, you may never see them. But you never know when you will plant a seed that one day will sprout and bloom forever. Thank you for all you do. America is enriched and a kinder nation because of your helping hands and generous hearts. And now I'd like to turn the program over to another generation of Bushes, and I hope that you're not bushed by the end of the day. Please welcome our wonderful grandchildren, Pierce Bush and Lauren Bush. Lauren, that's it, Lauren Bush, Lauren, and Melissa Harris Perry, host of the MSNBC's Melissa Harris Perry. I guess you're here.